A beach, waves rolling in, a river feeding into a lake in the distance. Sounds like Earth, right? Except the temperature is minus 183 degrees. The sky is orange, and every drop of liquid you're looking at is methane, not water. Welcome to Titan, Saturn's biggest moon, and honestly one of the weirdest, most alive feeling worlds we've ever studied up close. Let's get into it. Titan is the only place in the solar system, besides Earth, where we've actually confirmed liquid sitting on the surface, not ice liquid. And it's everywhere. Rivers cut through the landscape, clouds drift overhead, and it genuinely rains. Just not water. It rains methane. That's only possible because of the temperature. Water would be rock solid at minus 183 degrees, completely locked up. But methane's freezing and boiling points line up almost perfectly with Titan's climate, so it behaves the way water does here, evaporating, forming clouds, falling as rain, and pooling into lakes and seas. We got proof of this the hard way back in 2005 when the Huygens probe dropped through Titan's atmosphere and landed on solid ground. It didn't splash into a lake, but the rocks scattered around the landing site were smooth and rounded, the unmistakable signature of a place liquid used to flow. From orbit, Cassini later mapped out where the liquid actually sits today. Ontario Lakes near the South Pole, complete with a wave-carved shoreline. Legeia Mare up north, bigger than Lake Superior, with an island that keeps mysteriously appearing and vanishing between flybys. And the biggest of them all, Kraken Mare, split into two basins where tides might actually stir up real currents. Here's the thing about Titan: it doesn't really act like a moon. For one, it's massive, bigger than Mercury, in fact, which is an actual planet. Every other moon orbiting Saturn is small by comparison. Titan basically dwarfs the rest of them combined. And it's not just size. Titan has its own atmosphere, a real one, thicker than Earth's. In fact, even though the moon itself is smaller than our planet, weak gravity is the reason. There's nothing pulling that air in tight, so it balloons outward into space, stretching about 5 times higher than Earth's atmosphere does. Cassini actually had to correct its orbit once, just fighting the drag from that stretched out atmosphere at an altitude where you'd expect nothing but empty space. That thick air is mostly nitrogen, with methane mixed through it. Sunlight breaks the methane apart high up, and the leftover particles are what paint the whole moon that hazy orange color. Strange thing is, that process should have used up all the methane millions of years ago, so something down there keeps topping it back up. The best guess right now is ice volcanoes quietly resupplying the atmosphere from below. Speaking of what's below, this is where it gets genuinely exciting. Scientists think Titan is hiding a full ocean underneath its icy shell. Not water alone, but water mixed with ammonia, kept liquid by heat and pressure from the moon's interior. The evidence is pretty compelling. Cassini picked up unusual radio signals while flying overhead, the kind you'd expect if there were a liquid layer just beneath the crust. And surface landmarks have actually shifted position over the years, almost like the outer shell is floating loose on top of something. rather than being locked to a solid core underneath. Whether that hidden ocean could support anything alive is still completely unknown. Nobody is currently planning a mission to find out, since Jupiter's moon Europa is getting first priority in that search. The surface itself looks surprisingly young and freshly reshaped, and ice volcanism is likely the culprit there too, not molten rock erupting, but a slushy mix of water and ammonia oozing out and freezing solid, spreading into low, gentle landforms instead of sharp peaks. Based on how the Huygens probe settled when it landed, the ground probably feels something like a damp beach with a thin crust on top solid enough to walk on, but ready to give way if you press too hard. Titan takes about 16 days to circle Saturn, and like our own moon, it's tidally locked, always facing the same direction. Not that it would matter if you were standing there. The haze is so thick you couldn't see Saturn clearly anyway, and the ground below gets barely any sunlight either. Photos from the surface look like they were taken at dusk, and yet, oddly, Titan might be one of the easier alien worlds for a human to survive on, at least briefly. No crushing pressure to fight, no need for a full pressurized suit, just an oxygen supply, and some seriously heavy insulation for that brutal cold. Cassini gave us our first real look at all of this, but it was never designed to stick around Titan specifically. That's about to change. NASA's Dragonfly mission, a genuine flying rotorcraft, nuclear-powered, about the size of a car, is currently deep in construction, with a launch targeted for 2028 and arrival at Titan expected around 2034. Instead of sitting in one spot, it'll actually fly between locations, covering more ground than any other planetary mission in history, hunting for the chemical building blocks that might explain how life gets started. Until then, Titan just sits out there, quietly running its own version of a water cycle, with methane instead foggy, freezing, and full of secrets we've barely started to uncover. If this kind of world fascinates you as much as it fascinates me, there's a lot more strange corners of the solar system worth exploring, so stick around.